Good evening, everybody. In today's FireWxPy tutorial series, in this episode, we are going to make two sets of vertical profile forecast plots using NAM data for two separate locations. And in this example, we're going to download the data outside the function and pass the data in to limit the amount of data requests to the NCEP Nomad server. And I'll briefly talk about in the video when we set up our function what it would look like if you were to, let's say, only run one plot, or run, like, let's say, two plots, like one GFS, one NAM, and you wanted to download the data inside the function. I'll go over that as well. But in this example, we're going to do it. I'll elaborate on how to do it inside the function, but we're going to do it outside the function and pass it in. I'm meteorologist Eric Drewitz. I am the developer of FireWxPy as well, and I work for the USDA U.S. Forest Service. So let's begin. So we need to start off with our imports. And since we want to download our data set outside the function and pass it in, we're going to need two imports instead of one. So we're going to say from FireWxPy import plot forecast. Oh, my finger accidentally hit the key. So that's going to be an error. We'll restart the kernel. No big deal. And then we're also going to want from FireWxPy import model data. So I'm going to restart the kernel since my fingers accidentally, I guess, hit Alt Enter to run the cell by accident. So we will rerun that to make sure that our classes, or our model data class, and our function plot forecast soundings are both imported into this Jupyter lab. So we'll wait for that to cell to run. One thing to note is this is at the time I'm making this video, this is the newest feature in FireWxPy in the update that is 1.4.4.2. So this is the newest feature of FireWxPy, and I hope you like it. So this cell should be almost done running. Okay, so now we're going to want to get our data. So we're going to say ds for our data set equals model data dot, and we'll use our tab completion to. So we want if you want to get wrap data, you have to do both these functions. We will do that in another episode. I'm glad I used my tab completion to remind myself of that. So we will do that in another episode. Today we'll make NAM forecast sounding plots. So I want to use, if we're passing it outside the function, getting it outside the function and passing it, I just want the regular get nomads OpenDAP data. And now we want to pass in NAM in capitals as a string. We'll make our region as CONUS, since I will use, we will make a plot for, actually, we'll make a plot for JFK and LAX. I will do a separate video, actually, where we will do a custom location and download the data inside the function and just make one set of plots. So now we'll want to also put our bounds as none, since we're not using custom bounds for our data download. We are doing the region of CONUS. So let's run that cell. We're going to get our data. We got the 0Z run of the NAM. So now we want to call our plot forecast soundings function. And we'll do LAX first, and then we'll do JFK second. So first of all, we want the name of our model, which is the NAM. We want the airport code identifier. Now, in the next video, I'll show you would write custom in there if you want to make a custom location. And then you'll have to define bound lat long coordinates. But in this video, we will say KLAX for LAX, Los Angeles International. And now we will have to pass in set data equal to true, because that tells the function that we're downloading the data outside and we're passing it in. The default is false. And now we want to set ds equals to ds to pass in our data set. And on these plots, there are two subplots on the graphic that show the transport winds and the precipitation. Depending on the model, there's different fields. So, for example, the NAM has 3 hourly precipitation, but the GFS and the RAP have hourly precipitation rate, but precipitation rate is not a field for the NAM, so we do 3 hourly precipitation. Another special field is for the GFS. They have a total cloud cover with height to get an idea of how much clouds are at each level. So there's clouds versus height in the lowest 30,000 feet for GFS. But obviously with the NAM, that plot is not going to show up because that's not a model field for the NAM. And we use exception error handling within the functions. You're not going to see that in this. That's in the source code. But that's how we navigate through that. Now, that being said, back to the fact that we have spatial plots on a map, subplots, we could also change our geographical boundary reference system. So in this case, you know what? Let's do that. Let's change it from the default, which is states and counties. Let's make it, actually, you know what? Let's make it, we'll make one GAC and PSA and counties. And plot forecast soundings. We're going to say NAM. Now we're going to say KJFK. Again, data equals true. DS equals DS. Reference system equals. Let's do NWSCWA. Actually, I want to go quickly check my GitHub to see the documentation because I actually rarely ever use this one because while I used to be in the Weather Service, I'm not at the moment. So I want to check the documentation to see that we have to make sure we get that reference system coded right. So let's go to soundings and we'll go to this one. And for reference systems, we want this. So for all my friends in the Weather Service, shout out to all of you. We are going to paste that in. And this was good because I could show you where the documentation is. Oh, we have syntax right there. So we want to, so NAM, KGFK, data equals true, DS equals DS, reference system equals that. Okay, so now we're going to run our cell. Oh, typo right there. Can't talk and type at the same time. We have to have underscore system. Now let's run that. Okay, so this is going to take several minutes. So we are going to pause the recording and we are going to return when we have some images, our images. Okay, so our cell stopped running, so we have all of our graphics. So this is what the path looks like. So this is LAX, for example. So we have our weather data parent directory. Then we want to go into the forecast model data folder. Then the model that we use, so in this case the NAM. Then it'll have a special folder called soundings underneath that. And then it saves in the through the next branch with the latitude and longitude of the points that you're using. And then the reference system you use on the map. So this is what the graphics look like. We're in our weather data parent directory. So we have our forecast model data right here. And then we have our NAM and then our soundings. And so this is LAX. This is JFK. So I'll show you LAX first. So we have all our images in here. So you could see that we have our forecast sounding, our SKUT, RH with height in the lowest 10,000 feet above ground level, the winds with height, wind speed, and then speed and direction with the barbs in the lowest 10,000 feet above ground level. And these little tables here show you the maximum and minimum values in that layer. We have our vertical velocity in pascals per second. So it shows a maximum and minimum in the column, and this is in the lowest 10,000 feet as well. We have our 10-meter transport winds here, and you can see we have the GAC, PSA, and counties boundaries reference system. And then we have our 3-hour precipitation here. So you can see quite a wet evening today in Southern California as we have this atmospheric river moving through, but then drying out as we get into tomorrow and Saturday especially. Now let's look at JFK. So we're going to go back to, we'll just go back to soundings, and then here's our JFK images. So you'll see we have the Weather Service CWAs. You can see OKX right here. That's my personal favorite WFO, just because I grew up on Long Island, which that was my hometown WFO. You have Mount Holly over here. You have Albany, Binghamton State College, so you can see the boundaries there. And again, similar, the same parameters. So JFK, we go through just to show you, that's what these graphics look like. Oh, it looks like here you'll get some weather. This is on Sunday afternoon. Looks like, unfortunately for folks on Long Island, the temperature is 43, and the freezing level is above 9,000 feet. So unfortunately for you guys, if the NAM pans out, this is going to be rain. I would have not been happy with my childhood self if that is rain, because I like snow. Anyway, if you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to like the video, and always remember to subscribe for more FireWxPy tutorials.